Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. This lesson is from our course Beginner Course 2. Beginner Course 2 picks up right where Beginner Course 1 left off, and you're going to learn more chords, chord progressions, strumming patterns, how to play in time to a basic beat, and much more. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play an open Bm7 chord and an open Bm7 add 13 chord. First off, this course includes jam tracks as well as a corresponding premium e-guide. The e-guide includes all the detailed charts and diagrams for each lesson, step-by-step instructions to help you practice and retain the material in the video lessons, extra bonus tips and tricks, and much more. To accelerate your learning, be sure to grab the jam tracks and your copy of the premium e-guide by clicking the link on the screen or looking in the description below. So far I've shown you all the chords in the key of G except one, and that's a B minor chord. And if you don't understand what keys mean, don't worry too much about that right now. I'll get into that later. But basically it just means that any of these chords that I've been showing you are going to sound good together, so you can mix them up, try out different combinations of them, and come up with your own songs. Or when you're learning other songs, you're going to find these chords together all the time. And the chords in the key of G, the basic chords in the key of G are G, A minor, B minor, which is what I'm going to show you in this lesson, and the basic B minor is a bar chord, which we're not going to deal with right now, C, which I've shown you, D, and E minor. So you've learned all the chords except the B minor. You've learned G, you've learned A minor, you've learned C, you've learned D, and you've learned E minor. You've also learned C add 9 and D sus4 and E minor 7, which can be used instead of C, D, or E minor. So the one chord, like I said, you're missing is a B minor, and the two that I'm going to show you, the two options for playing a B minor, are B minor 7 and B minor 7 add 13. Those are two of the easiest versions to play for B minor 7 as a beginner, because the regular B minor, like I said, is a bar chord, which you'll get into down the road. You don't do that as a beginner because bar chords are difficult to get down at first. And the B minor chords are still a little tricky to play, which I'll explain as I'm going through, but with a little bit of work, and if you've come this far, I don't think they'll be too tough for you. So the first one, like I said, is B minor 7. It sounds like this. And the way you fret this is your first finger, 5th string, 2nd fret, second finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger, 1st string, 2nd fret. So all your fingers are in the 2nd fret, but the tricky thing about this is that you're skipping a string each time. So in between all your fretted fingers, all your fretted notes are an open string. There's an open string here between these two fingers and an open string here between these two fingers, which means that you really have to be on the tips of your fingers and adjust your fingers so that you don't mute out these two open strings, the 4th string and the 2nd string. So that's going to be the toughest part about this B minor 7, is stay on the tips of your fingers and really avoid muting out those open strings. And you don't play the 6th string just like with the C chord, so you can mute that out with the tip of your 1st finger and then strum through all the strings. So that'll be tricky to get down at first, to really make sure you're on the tips of your fingers and not mute anything out, but just take it slowly and eventually it'll become easier to you. The next one, the B minor 7 add 13, is a little easier. You start with your 3rd and 4th finger just like you do with the G or the C add 9 or the E minor 7 or the D sus4. So your 3rd finger is on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, your 1st finger is on the 1st string, 3rd fret, and then your 1st finger goes on the 5th string, 2nd fret, and your 2nd finger goes on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And then you have one open string, which is your 4th string. So you have to be careful not to mute out that string with your 1st or 2nd finger. You have to really be on the tips of your fingers again. And again, the 6th string is muted out with your 1st finger. So you could look at this as starting with an E minor 7, but instead of having your 2nd finger on the 4th string, you move it down towards the floor to the 3rd string in the same fret. So again, as you're working on it, just take them slow, hold the chord, strum through the chord. If you hear anything that sounds off, check each string and just keep readjusting your fingers till you get each string to ring out clearly without any buzzing. And like I said, these will be tricky at first because you're really having to stay on the tips of your fingers to not mute out any of those open strings. But I don't think it'll be too tough for you since you've come this far and have learned this many chords so far. Be sure to look in your e-guide under this lesson where you'll find step-by-step instructions for how to practice and retain everything that we just went over. You'll also find instructions for when to move on to the next lesson. So thanks for watching and keep moving forward.